Good morning, Myrtle Beach. You're at the right place at the right time. Thank you for joining us again this week.
Yes, thanks for joining in. An exciting show that we're going to have here coming up. If you missed last week's show, though, we had a special guest on, three-time NEMA Award winner out of Nashville, Tennessee, two-time alternative band winner, Jasmine Kane. I had to leave that middle word out. She would be so proud of me that I did. And so she was here last week with her husband, road manager, and better half. Oh, not better half, but Kevin. And if you missed that show and would like to check it out, you can go to our YouTube page, The Sid Chase Investment Group, and hit the subscribe button. Watch the show from last week with Jasmine, especially if you're an artist, musician, and wanting to get started in the music business. She had a lot of good insights.
Yes, she did. Yep, she was very helpful. So what's going on in our local area?
Well, you know that we have a development up near, just past International Drive on Route 90, and so every day we go up there, we get to drive by that end of International Drive.
Right.
And so we are starting to see some progress down there.
Yes.
They got a dirt road in there, and they're starting to do a little ramp building, and so they're making some progress. So we're excited about that.
It's going to make a big difference.
It's going to make a big difference, yeah. We actually had somebody come out yesterday who wanted to talk to us about building a house. It was our second meeting with them, and they were from the Pawleys Island area, so they wanted to come up and see some of our models that we had. And she calls me on the phone. She said, we're not lost. We're just tried to use International Drive, and we ran out of road, and the GPS took us this way. So it's getting there. It's at least Google has now picked it up on the GPSs, which is a good thing. So, what do you think about Carolina Forest area? Gander Mountain went out of business, right? Which we all knew. I mean, I kind of knew that before they even opened the doors that was going to happen, because they just can't compete with Bass Pro, which is on the north end of Myrtle Beach.
Yes.
They're proposing 600 new homes to go behind there. They're trying to get it rezoned right now, and obviously the community, a lot of the community in Carolina Forest is upset about that, because we have more than enough traffic as it is.
That Carolina Forest Boulevard is extremely busy already.
Yeah, so that's the extension of Postal Way. So Postal Way will come across Carolina Forest Boulevard and just go straight through back there. And so I don't know. I mean, for us as builders, you know, and for real estate agents and for businesses, you know, we want 600 new homes, you know, in there, because 600 new homes and an average of 2.5 or 2.7 people, depending on how they come up with that point and stuff. But we'll just say an average of 3 people per house, you know, so you got 1,800 more people, roughly. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with that.
That's going to be really crazy. That's where we live right now.
I know, we live across the street from that. Don't tell people where we live. No, I'm just kidding.
Carolina Forest is pretty big. They're not going to pinpoint us.
Right. So here's something I thought was kind of interesting. 2015, if the computer was right, okay, 2015, the population for Horry County was roughly around 209,000 plus, give or take. In 2016, we jumped to 322,000 plus. So a little over 13,000 new people in 1 year, if it's correct. And
aren't they projecting?
They are, actually.
A large number.
Yeah, so I basically got a hold of the Myrtle Beach Regional, they call themselves Myrtle Beach Regional Economic Development Committee folks there, and they said to me that they think they're going to average about a 14% increase in population year over year for a little bit here in the Horry County, all of Horry County.
Right.
You know, so
Horry County isn't that the biggest county in the state?
it is the biggest county in the state. Wow, I'm impressed. That's awesome. Look
I
at
listen.
you.
I don't read. I listen.
Okay. But you know, for me, I drive around. I'm looking at a lot of land and development areas and houses and things like that. So I see a lot of what's going on in Ainer. I mean, even though it's, you know, a good 30 plus minutes away from the beach, it's just booming out there. People are buying up land. Matter of fact, I just went out and looked at a 2.47 acre lot out there for a couple that they want us to build their house on. Well, they want you to build the house. I can't swing a hammer, but
to play with tools.
Yeah, and it's just taken off out there, and property's still relatively cheap out there yet.
Yes,
so
it is.
It's a good thing.
And you're not too far from the beach still, being out there with the main roads and.
Right, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
22 drops right off there on 501 on the north end, you know, so you hop on that and, you know, get you right back to 905 or 90 or 31, or if you drive it all the way in, it'll take you into Bass Pro on the high end of North Myrtle Beach, you know, so, you know, you get out there, your taxes are a little less, your land's a little less, you can get more for your dollar, and if you don't mind driving 30 minutes back in.
It's almost a little like country living.
Yeah, kind of. Yep. And the thing about it is, we actually only live about 7 minutes from the beach, maybe, but it takes us 30. So you might as well just live it.
Takes that long.
Sometimes it does on 501. It's like gridlock. It's like Chicago. Crazy
501
stuff.
can get pretty bad.
Can
But
get bad out
I
there.
think it's worse towards Conway, is it not?
Yeah,
that
where that
section
section
when
of
you
Conway
come into
past
Myrtle Beach,
CCU. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's all I have for what's going on locally. Let's take a quick break, and we'll come right back and introduce our guest this morning.
Yes.
We're excited that he's here.
Yes, we are. We'll be
All
right back,
We'll
folks.
be right back, folks.
Did you mention?
Yeah, we just talked about that.
Okay.
That was close. About 7
With
minutes.
more than 17 years experience, Chase
You can talk.
delivers
Yeah,
high
I'll
quality
have 6 minutes.
craftsmanship on your lot or on
No, no.
I don't have anything
each member of the
No,
team
the
brings a
phone?
unique
Yeah.
set of
Yeah, that's all
skills.
there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's theirs, yeah.
The passion
And
for
you
the
have over 20 people live on Facebook.
All right,
Woo!
Facebook.
Good morning,
Thank
Facebook.
you, everybody.
details of your
Hey, I'll tell you what we'll do. The first 5 people on Facebook that leave me their email address, I will send you a copy, a downloadable copy of my new book that's out on Amazon, and I'll send you a free copy of it. So the first 5 people that send me their email address, I'll send you a copy of my new book. It'll be out in print I believe at the end of this month, but I'll send you a downloadable version. First 5 people with their emails. Twitter, you too. First 5 people.
Come on, Twitter.
Let's go Twitter. Don't let Facebook outdo you, Twitter fans.
Was the last time you painted a year that started in 19? Yep, time for
Oh, you already got one?
But don't trust that paint
I
job
love
to
you,
just anyone.
Bob.
Call Straight Edge Painting. At Straight Edge Painting, no job is too big or too small. From individual rooms to entire
Oh,
houses,
she's in such a good mood this
Straight Edge
morning.
Painting will get the job done and get it done right. Call today
She is
for a free
so
estimate
happy.
at
Mornings were bad for us.
Scotland, right?
Scotland.
Yeah.
Rome and
To
Aspen,
get your home
Scotland.
professionally painted
All
or
places.
afraid you couldn't afford it? Yeah. Give it a fresh coat of paint
Love it.
with Straight Edge Painting. Call JC today at Straight Edge Painting or look them up on
JC
Facebook.
Chase.
Feel free to call
Is
in
it?
talk with Sid and Julie at
That's his company, Straight Edge
It's our son's
Painting.
ad.
9950.
Do what?
That's our son's ad.
With Sid and
That's
Julie
awesome.
Chase.
Welcome back, everyone.
Yeah, welcome back. Hey, if you want to call in today and talk to either our guest or myself and ask a question or anything, you can call us at 843-839-9950. And if you are the first caller, I will give you a free copy of my latest book. I will get it to you quickly.
Yeah.
Because I have it.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to talk a little bit before we introduce our guest. We're going to talk about the Sid Chase Investment Group real quick.
Yeah,
So
promote
if you
yourself.
promote myself, if you are interested in real estate at any level, whether you want to partner with a professional or you want to learn how to do flipping yourself or tax liens or anything, multi-units, go ahead and give us a call. Reach out to us through our website, sidchase.com. There's emails on there. Hit the contact button. Send us a
Yeah.
quick email. If you want, call us straight. Go ahead and just give us a call, free consultation, and we'll see where you're at, what you're looking to do, and we'll go from there. And we'll help you out. We'll help you get started in the real estate world because almost every single wealthy person in the world got wealthy
Dealing
through
with
real
real
estate.
estate.
That's right. You want to do the same thing. So we got a guest here today. But
Yes.
before we mention our guest, what I'd like to say is that this is a family show, and we, Julie and I, always had our family involved in our business, our
That's
kids, right? So we have Scotland here today, who is 4 months old. So if you hear any little gurgly noises or goo goo gaga stuff, that is Scotland. And if Scotland gets carried away, we'll escort her out of the room. But as long as she's only doing just a little bit of noise, she's going to be good. And she's been a good baby since she's been here last
Yeah.
night. So Cale Ferguson is our guest today from Columbia. He drove
Yes.
in last night and he bought his boss with him, which is Reagan, his wife. And what Julie and I really like about this couple, I mean, we've known Cale for probably about 3 years, and a little bit more than that. I met you when I was speaking out at, forget which one it was now, in Columbia somewhere. Anyways, this is where we first met. One of the things we like about this couple is that they remind us of our younger version, because they're a team.
Yes.
You know, they're a team, and they have 2 other little kids, 2-year-old and a 5-year-old.
Yes.
All right, thank God we're not there. We're gone. We're done. Our little one's almost 21. But they take them out looking for houses, and the 2 little ones now say, what do they say? We're going to go look at messy houses?
They call it a messy house.
Messy house. And so we're training them up early.
Yes.
Early. They're going to be, you know, Donald Trump is Grant Cardone. Those guys are going to have nothing on those 2 kids.
That's right.
You know, not a thing. They're not a thing. So Cale, tell us, we know where you're from now, but tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, for example, where'd you grow up?
Yeah, so I grew up in Mississippi, Columbus, Mississippi. It was there that I first met Reagan.
Okay.
And we met with, well, that's a whole crazy long story, and it'll take too long. So, but
Yeah,
we met
already
there.
have an hour show.
Yeah, we met there. It's much longer than that. We met there and didn't see each other for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Ran into each other again at the beach, and got married. Now we live in Lexington, South Carolina.
Oh, Lexington, and I'm here.
Well,
I'm
it's
saying
Columbia. It's
Is it?
Columbia.
Okay. So it's like a suburb?
It's like 10 minutes.
Okay.
Oh,
10,
okay.
15
Okay.
minutes. There's
Okay.
parts of Lexington that are just butted up to Columbia. So, anyways, we live there, flipping houses, doing some rentals. I'm also a real estate agent there, and she's definitely part of my business. She's the hardest working member of the business. And,
You're like me. You're a front man. Other than that,
yeah,
these
that's
2
right.
hold everything together. They're
That's
the
right.
glues.
That's right.
They're the glue.
That's right. That's
So
right.
what was your first job? I know you went to college,
Mhm.
right? And after college,
Shoveling sawdust.
shoveling sawdust
Mm-hmm.
in Mississippi?
My best friend, growing up, his dad owned a company called Trim Joist, and they put together large floor joists,
Mhm.
right? And so they have the sawmill that pumps out sawdust onto a concrete slab. So one summer, him and I needed a job. His dad thought we needed a job anyways. So he put us to work shoveling sawdust into a big front end loader on a tractor and going and dumping it.
Okay,
So
that's interesting.
we learned, through that we learned how to dig excellent sawdust recliners
Right?
in the giant sawdust pile. A lot of cool stuff.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
cool. Besides working for my parents, my very first job was picking apples
Okay.
off the ground.
And mine was
picking
picking
up the
up
drops.
the sticks under the trees and laying them out for under the apple trees.
Right?
That was one of my first
After they
jobs.
trimmed them.
Yeah.
Yep. So, what got you interested in real estate? I mean, what for me? I know the day that the light bulb turned on in my head.
Mhm.
Mine dimmed a bunch of times first. It
Mine
kind of
did
flickered
too.
a little bit,
Mhm.
and then all of a sudden one day, it just hit me over the head. This is what I need to be doing.
Right.
So, what was it for you?
So when I was a kid, my dad went through a several-year period where him and my grandfather went into business together and bought up a bunch of rentals
Mhm.
in a really, really tiny town in Mississippi. And as a child, I was sort of interested. I really didn't know what was going on. I didn't see how hard it was, how hard he was working, but he kind of explained some of the theories behind it to me. I understood that someone else was helping him pay the mortgage. I understood that when those mortgages were eventually paid, that he would really be getting paid.
Mhm.
That's about as far as my understanding went. But so that seed was sort of planted, and I was interested.
Right.
I went to college at Alabama. My wife went to Auburn. But anyways, I was at college, and the first thing I wanted to study when I got there was finance and real estate.
Okay.
All right. I flaked out and then didn't actually wind up settling on real estate till years later. But I think
Right.
the seed, I'm a bit like you, and the light was dim several times
Right.
before it.
So, do you think going to college is a necessity for somebody who wants to get
No.
involved in real estate?
No, I don't.
No, not even the financial to learn financials.
No,
or business management?
no.
Good, because I agree with you. Right. When you decided to take that leap, that like all in, right?
Mhm.
What was the first thing you did? What was the first project? Was it a flip or was it a rental unit? Did you partner with somebody else on a deal?
No, it was a flip.
Okay.
It was a flip. So Reagan and I had saved up religiously
Mm-hmm.
since we had gotten married. We'd saved up enough to pay off my student debt at one point, and that wiped us out.
Wonderful.
And then we went back to saving and saved and saved, and so
Mm-hmm.
we had a small little nest egg enough to put 25% down on a conventional investment loan
Okay.
with our lender, just a lender friend of ours.
Mhm.
So we did that and found a little house, just a little sweet spot, 115,000, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500
And
square
this is
foot house
Lexington?
in Lexington.
Okay.
In Lexington, and we did it that way. We used our seed money that we had to fund the down payment. We took a loan. It was our first ever home purchase period. We had not. That was before we ever bought a house that we would live in. We always rented. So
So real quickly, because we know right now that banks really aren't giving loans for flip houses, right? So did you buy that as going to be your primary residence, and then you went ahead and started?
no, I didn't. Actually, my banker asked me if I wanted to do that, and I didn't want to sit around in it 6 months.
Right.
Yeah, and I didn't actually want to. I didn't want to start off doing something a little bit underhanded. So I just said no. I'm actually gonna never live in this house, banker, and we're just gonna call it what it is. It's an investment.
Okay.
We both had excellent credit and no debt at the time, so that helped us.
Helped a lot.
It helped
Okay.
us in order to get that first
Okay.
loan.
So on that first house, how long did it take you to rehab it?
Longer than we thought.
It's always that way.
6 weeks.
6 weeks. Yeah, that's not bad.
No,
our
that's
goal when
not.
we flip was we look for one of our criteria in there is that when we find a flip house that it needs to be able to be done in 30 days or less.
Yeah, I just mean the rehab part.
Yeah,
Getting
no,
the
no,
rehab-
that's all I'm
yeah.
talking about. It's just the rehab part. Purchase to, once you go to closing, the
Exactly.
clock starts ticking.
There you go. Mhm.
And then as we progress through, one of the things that we tried to do when we were looking at some of those, and it's hard to do it when you're dealing with an owner, somebody who's still occupying the house. But when we mostly 98% of everything we flipped was from the banks.
Mhm.
So what we started doing, and this is a good tip, so take notes out there, everybody, that negotiate with the bank that you can get in early, especially if you're paying cash for the house.
Mhm.
A lot of times they'll allow you to come in early before the closing as long as you have proof of funds.
Pre-possession.
Pre-possession, and get in there and start working ahead of time before you're closing.
Yeah.
That could cut off a
Mm.
week or two off your time. Not all banks will do that for you. You got to have a little what do I want to say?
Rapport?
Rapport. Thank you. Yeah, a little rapport with them. But once you've got that rapport, a lot of the banks will do that for you because they want it off the market as quick as possible.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, so that's something you can try. Yep, and other folks you can try that too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you bought the first one for how much?
115.
No, I'm saying that was about what it would be worth. That would be the ARV after repair value. Our first, how much did we buy that? 71.5, I think.
Okay.
Was the
Oh.
purchase price?
Okay.
About
And your
71.5.
rehab cost?
Rehab cost about 12-15, something like that.
15,000.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
So
That's a good.
yeah. So and then you sold
It
it
was-
for one.
And then we sold it for 118.5.
Not a bad deal.
Awesome.
Not a
Yeah.
bad deal at all. That
So you're
first
like,
deal.
oh, this was
Yeah.
good. Let's do it
Now,
again.
was that what happened? You were like, when you got the check, a day or two after the closing, when you sold it, you were like, yeah, this is it. This is
Yeah.
what we need to do.
Yeah, I actually already felt that way, really. I mean, I had just made up my mind when I quit my job
Mhm.
that this is what I was going to do. So
you didn't just jump in off the deep end.
Actually, let me backtrack. I did jump in, but I did that after my first flip. So I had already made up
Okay.
my mind.
So you were working.
I was working
JOB
full-time.
while
Yeah.
you were doing that first flip.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay.
And then as soon as we finished that flip, we got the check from that week. Then I left.
Right.
Nice.
That's still. I gotta watch what I'm saying. That's still gutsy. That's I mean, it is, you know, because I see. I
Yeah, I
recommend.
got some flack.
Yeah.
I'm sure you
know,
did.
And I recommend people, do 2 or 3 flips, get yourself built up a little bit, have that cash built up,
Mhm.
and then maybe take that step. Because one thing I want to tell everybody out there, as a flipper, you are not an investor. Is if you're flipping houses, you are not a real estate investor. Okay, you are basically a professional. The
And you're still
government looks
working.
at you as a professional flipper.
Yep.
You're taxed at the higher end of the capital gains, and investor is somebody who is long term. You buy and hold long term, right? So just make sure you keep that in mind. A lot of people think because they're real estate flipping houses, they're investors, and I mean kind of, but not really.
Yeah.
Right. So you just jumped right in. That's good.
Mhm.
That's
I
good.
also, when we decided that this is what we're going to do, another thing that we did right off the bat was I went to real estate school to get my
Real estate agency?
to
Mhm.
get my license.
Okay. And
And
you're still an
so-
agent today.
Still an agent today, and I probably would not have jumped without having like an additional stream there.
Correct.
Another way to supplement and make money, and
Right.
because with flipping, especially getting started doing one at a time and waiting for it to close,
Yes.
paychecks are way
Far-
spread out.
Yes.
Mhm.
Exactly.
So I just want to throw that in there.
Yeah.
Um,
So when you're out searching in Lexington, Columbia area,
Mhm.
right? So when you put in the purchase offers, that's through you.
mhm,
Okay.
yes.
So then you're rehabbing the house, and then you put it back up on the market, list
And
it
then I list
through
it
you.
List it
All
myself.
right, so in, just everybody, I mean, we got a lot of smart listeners out there, but let me just explain it for some of the new people. He's triple dipping is what he's doing on one deal, and so he's basically getting 3 different streams of income coming in from that deal.
That's right.
And you don't need to be an agent to do that, but if you are, it just makes it a lot easier, and it's a way for you to create some more income streams for you. So that was
That's right.
that was very smart. I'm glad Reagan told you to do that. It was very, very smart of her to do that.
Everything she says is smart.
Yeah, exactly. I know how you feel. So your first deal. So what one piece of advice would you give a new person that has no knowledge of real estate at all, besides they should buy my book,
Mhm.
NoBull Real Estate? What's the next piece of
Well,
advice?
that was going to be my first piece of advice, was to buy Sid Chase's book. The second piece of advice I would say is, honestly, find a mentor that you trust. I don't mean necessarily that you need to go online and find the most expensive guy out there.
The guru guys.
Right. I'm saying, though, find a close friend, somebody, I mean, it can be a guru if you really connect with him and you really trust him, but
Mhm.
or it could be your dad, it could be a close friend, but find someone that you can trust and not have to worry about other motives when you're factoring in their advice, because I think we all need advice. I know that every time I get into a groove and I start to think that I start to feel like, yep, I got it,
Mm-hmm.
that's when I'm fixing to learn something.
Right.
So I would say, if you're thinking on it, find someone whose opinion you value and trust.
And I agree. I mean,
Yes.
we've been doing this for 27 years. We've flipped and purchased, and all the deals were well over thousands of deals at this point in our lives, and we still look up to our mentors. And I still have 2 or 3 of them that I call, and especially now that I'm flipping developments.
Mm-hmm.
That was a new thing for me 2 years ago. And there's a lot of risk when you're flipping a development, because you're buying raw land. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if anybody's going to want it or not. And so definitely, and your mentor could be just as you could be your accountant, and it should
Could
be
be.
actually. He should be one of your mentors,
Right.
somebody that you can look up to, because they specialize in that stuff, and
Right.
you don't really need to have to do that. What is the most challenging part of flipping houses? I know there's a few of them. They're called the unknowns.
To me, well, I have really 2 main answers to that question.
Okay.
The first would just be cash. For me, the way I've done it, I've never really been at a point, because I am stretching myself, because I am doing as much as I can, and I'm being very aggressive. I've always had a shortage of cash.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know many business owners who wouldn't tell you something similar, that maybe at least in the early stages, you're going to have some
even
shortages,
at our
right?
stage.
So, yeah,
we're,
so-
we're still, we had this conversation last night, and we're still sometimes always looking for money.
Mhm.
You
So
know?
to me, shortage of cash, always needing more than you think you need.
Right.
The next thing would just be the people you put around yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a great book called Good to Great.
Good.
Okay,
Great.
Good to Great by Jim Collins, and he analyzes all these businesses, and and then he comes up with sort of a criteria of how to go from good to great.
Okay.
So his first point, though, is get the right people on the bus.
Mm-hmm.
I
agree with
100% agree with that. He says, don't try to make up your plan. Don't try to come up with your business plan with the wrong people on the bus.
Mm-hmm.
Get the right people on the bus first, and then it doesn't matter what your plan is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You'll enjoy the time, and you'll go somewhere worthwhile.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
So in that was a big hurdle for me, is finding the right people, finding the right contractors, finding the right advisors, the right bank,
Right, and the door
et
turns a
cetera,
lot.
et cetera.
The door will turn a lot for you in the beginning. What I mean by that, it's like going into the old hotels, the Astoria, like in New York City, where they have the door just keeps spinning round and round and round. And a lot of times you have to go around and round and round till you finally find
Mhm.
the right contractor, or the
Right,
right drywall
yeah.
person, or the right banker, or the right insurance
Yes.
guy, or just somebody that you can call and say, hey, here's my thoughts. What do you think?
Yeah, and there's places in our business, I mean, the door's still turning.
Exactly. Exactly, and the same with us. It's no different.
Yeah.
So tell us, if you don't mind, because we have a lot of new people out there that like to listen to our show that are interested in real estate and maybe getting started. What are the 3 or 4 criteria things that you look at when you're looking at a house? How do you know you want to buy that house, is what I'm saying. What does the house have to meet in order for you to make an offer on her?
Okay, so for me, this is personal preference stuff.
Sure.
All right,
Mhm.
so I don't buy anything with less than 3 bedrooms and 2 baths.
Okay.
Okay, I'll buy a 3 1.5 if I can convert it to a 3 2 or something like that. So that's just a minimum for me. Is I need a 3 bedroom and a 2 bath. Needs to be a house that I could flip or rent, and it needs to be in my target area, which has changed. I've said at times that I'm doing Columbia area,
Mm-hmm.
and but I'm really focusing in now on Lexington, West Columbia, Irmo areas. So that covers about maybe 5 or 6 zip codes, and that's pretty much my area, my criteria. I need an after repair value of 100 to 200,000. So
Okay. And what's your if you end up renting, what's your cash flow on door per door? What is, you have a minimum?
250 minimum.
250 minimum.
Mhm.
Yeah. So ours was always close to 300 was
Mhm.
our number when we used to do that.
Yeah.
As we talked about last night, we don't recommend anybody buying a single family home as a rental.
Mhm.
There's a lot of risk in that, but the other strategy we talked about last night when you got in early at our place was the fact that if you want to do that, so if you go to buy a house and your intention is to flip it, and for whatever reason you can't get it sold, and then you go to a rental, we try to tell people at least rent it for a year and a day that you've owned it, and then
Mhm.
that way when you go put it back up on the market, at least you
Mhm.
get your tax breaks from it,
Mhm.
and then turn around and use that money to get into a duplex or a triplex or a fourplex.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So